not back.
How you holding up? You good? You okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
Are you not well?
I'm fine. I just, yeah, I'm in Israel right now.
What is it, midnight over there now?
Oh, it's 1:30 in the morning. Yeah. So, Eli, I did send an email to Rosie, and also, I just told her, just in case, if the meeting is running over 2.5 hours, I'm going to have to split. So she's going to do the roll call, but I'm going to let her know. And she has the spreadsheet. I just don't think she's on the call yet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
What you just did is commendable. Just thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really looking forward to have you back.
I'll be back next
Safe.
week.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Sorry. How you doing?
Hi, Tanya.
Hope everybody's okay. And OC, I'm thinking about you, wishing you, and you're my thoughts over there. Glad you're holding up.
Yeah, it's fine. The ceasefire is holding so far, but they have they're still sending balloons, but nobody's reporting about that. It's just.
Can someone instruct the public on how to sign up for the public session? I don't know if there's a Q&A section, so I guess they sign up in chat, but if someone could clarify that.
Yeah, we're gonna get around to.
I think some people have already signed up in chat for the public session, so who's ever running that should check.
Yeah, Paola is already taking the names.
I don't think the chat is on. It's the Q&A that is on. That's where I see all the conversation going.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
Ozzy, you want to check if we have quorum, or are we still a little short?
Let me see.
I believe the chat is also on.
Yeah, the
which
chat is on.
generally we don't have on, so maybe we want to turn it off, because sometimes that can be very problematical.
The problem is, Jim, that not all of us see Q&A. So and people already signed up in chat. So
Right.
we need to make sure that we get all the names of public members.
Yeah, if the chat explodes into another meeting and then we will probably have to turn it off, because we're having one meeting tonight. We're not having a second one on the chat.
Correct. I would suggest leaving the chat open because it's useful for things like when people need to clarify the order of something or recognizing something or saying, hey, so-and-so has their hand up.
Even though we've been advised,
The chat is very useful for that.
Even though we've been advised by NBPO to turn it off, I'm gonna keep it on for as long as it's useful to keep it on. And then if it gets out of hand and the second meeting begins, then we'll have no recourse but to shut it off.
Don't have a
quorum
Are we okay, Ozzy? Do we have enough?
You could pull Natalie out of the attendees.
And promote her to.
Yeah, she's in there.
Also, Miguel Guadalupe from BRC. I don't have access to the chat because I'm joining from my phone, but I believe he wants to sign up for the public speakers session.
And Chris Nickel is also in the attendee. Needs to be pulled over.
Are we short, Ozzy? So that can.
Hold on, we're still short. So far, 20 members.
6 short, right?
I'm sorry?
We have 6 short, right? No, 20.
Um,
3 short.
3 shorts, 3 short of quorum, yes.
Paola, there are quite a few people signed up for the public session in the chat. So you should check that.
So as usual, Paolo, just take the first 20. We're gonna have the usual limit of 20 public speakers. And then we're gonna talk about the rules of engagement when I get around to the chair's report.
There are also a few people at the Q&A that try to sign up for the public session. Still only 20 people. We need 3 more for quorum. Liz, did you get my email?
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Faye.
Hi, everybody. It's Maria Luna.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
I think we need 1 more person for quorum. 1 more member. Okay, we have 24. We're good. Eli?
Yes, ma'am. Here we go.
Okay. Okay.
6:40. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order. So I want to put a motion on the floor to adopt the agenda for the May 2021.
I
Make a
object.
motion.
Who seconds it?
I second.
Mary seconds it. Motion on that agenda adopted.
I object.
This is May 25th, not 21.
Ellie,
So motion carries. And for the minutes of April 2021, can I get a motion to adopt it?
I make a motion.
Mary makes the motion. Seconds it?
Ellie, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
No, I object.
To what?
I object to the minutes. There is something that has been removed from the Parks Committee meeting that I would like to make sure is re-added.
Okay, which part of the minutes are you objecting to
I
specifically?
made a comment during the meeting, during the Parks Committee meeting, and it's my understanding.
Excuse me. The motion is regarding the general meeting minutes. We do not vote on the committee minutes. So if you have a question or an issue with the committee minutes, that's a committee matter and we can discuss that at the next committee meeting. We do not discuss the committee minutes in the general meeting. I'm happy to add that to the next Parks Committee agenda.
Jim, I'd like you to chime in. Jim?
Liz is correct. The minutes of committees are corrected at committee meetings. We
Thank
are
you,
only
motion
working on
carries.
the minutes of the general meeting.
Thank you, Jim, for bringing it in. Motion carries. So,
So who second? Who
the second, Mary put the motion on the floor.
Mhm.
Who seconded?
If there is no second, I'll second.
Also seconds it. Great. So my report be extremely short. I'd like to take this chance and this opportunity to say thanks to all of you who have been put in your time to put this meeting together. The amount of work that it takes to write minutes and to put and organize this meeting is just extremely intense, labor intensive. Special thanks to Chanel and Ebenezer, who have been working extremely hard for the past couple of weeks since Paola was out sick. Paola, thank you for being back. We need you. It's really, it takes a team effort to really conduct the work of the board. In addition, I'd like to take a special time to give a special thanks to both Daryl and Ashley Fernandez. I was part of three co-names in which there were the advocates of those two co-names. One of them is the Heroes Way and Walter Delgado's Square, or the co-name for 207 and Post, which I was part of on Saturday. I think that's what matters. That's what counts. And he ratifies the fact that the real work is really outside of the board. Is really in our community, where we should be really involved and making sure that matters are taken care of. So that's pretty much my report. Ebenezer, I'm gonna follow with yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. The first item on my report is the 207 bridge. At the District Service Cabinet meeting last week, the representative of the contractor painting the 207 bridge informed that they are ready to start night work on weekends, Saturday night and Sunday night. This immediately ring a bell to me. That 207 bridge and that Saturday night and Sunday night is too busy with people coming to Inwood to enjoy the restaurant, et cetera, et cetera. As you know, all the concern and all the reports we have from the gas station there, people congregating. I immediately asked the 34th precinct to take a look into that. And I also asked the contractor to reconsider and also to make a survey of the area, because doing night painting on weekends over the 207 bridge may be a nightmare with this situation that we have there. The 181st Street busway is now being enforced by camera. I received an email last week. Yesterday, Eleazar and I, we had a site visit with the Manhattan Borough Commissioner from DOT on that area. He informed us that the camera enforcement of the busway area right now for the next 60 days is going to be just warning. After the 60-day, people will receive a violation by not obeying the busway. These violations do not carry points on the license. It's only a violation. Eleazar pointed to the commissioner that the camera was hidden in a way that nobody can see it. It's very concealed. And he took into consideration. Eleazar also asked why DOT do not install signs saying that this busway is being enforced with camera. The commissioner took that into consideration, and we believe that new signs will be taken into place. The EEPC audit. You heard me for the last 5 months that Eleazar and I at the office, we are dealing with the EEPC audit. This agency from the city of New York wants to make sure that we, as a community board, as an office, as an employer, we are in compliance with all the EEO regulations. At first, it was a little confused because in the way they approached us, they were looking for the sexual harassment policy that the office must have. We have a sexual harassment policy. We have a sexual harassment. All this month is about sexual harassment. And finally, last week, one of the memos said, is the EO including the sexual harassment? That's why you received last week an email from Eleazar Bueno telling in a memorandum that we are adopting the Manhattan Borough President EEO policy as our, we are under the umbrella of the Manhattan Borough President's Office. Therefore, their policies apply to us. And we sent you that last week. Yesterday, I got another email from the EEP. It's a final step that we want us to do is to send you, to everybody, another email with the memorandum from the EEP saying that they conducted the audit and we implemented all the recommendations and that we are okay with the memorandum. So I'm working with Eleazar. You're probably gonna receive that email by the end of this week. Con Edison work on Pinehurst area that started this past Monday, and we yes, the Con Edison work on the Cabrini Boulevard is the location. Cabrini Boulevard between 190 and Fort Tryon Park started this past Monday. I mentioned to the Con Edison representative all your concerns. Remember when I presented this matter to you at the executive committee, everybody raised a lot of concerns. So I brought these concerns to Con Edison and they said they're gonna be keeping an eye on those conditions and keep us posted of what is going to happen there. And we're gonna be monitoring that one. The 207 Street and Broadway homeless situation, it was referred to be at the last general meeting. And many people complain about it, and I received a very extensive email. I forward this one to Liliani from the Department of Homeless Services, and she made a thorough investigation on the area, and no one was able to come in their team was able to confirm the lady that it was sent in the pictures there, and she was not there when the team from the Department of Homeless Services arrived. She asked me and she begged me to let you know that any homeless condition that you see in the district, please call 311 immediately because they will react a little more faster that way. If you want to continue to send it to her, she will do it, but by the time that they may go, the condition may not exist. So please, if you see any homeless condition in any part of the district, call 311 right away and let us know so I can follow up with the Department of Homeless Services. And finally, committee chairs, please review the June calendar and the agenda. We send it to you today, the draft. Review it and let me know if there is any change that need to be made to this calendar. We are planning to e-blast this calendar to the community and post it in our website on this week on Friday. This is the end of my report. Thank you very much. Is there any question? I see Isidro. I see also Daniel Jeto. Isidro, go ahead with your question.
Vanessa, when did the commissioner of DOT come to 181st?
I have to answer that. The meeting was intended for the site in 204 and 9th Avenue. 204 and 9th Avenue has had a situation, and Ebenezer was out in his report, in which there has been abandoned cars for decades, not decades, but for almost a decade. So the merchants from that area called specifically me to have the committee, have the Ed Pigney from MBPO DOT to come and check the site out because it has been an extremely despair. And in advance to that, I invited him to come to 181st Street since he was already in the area. That was done 3 days ago.
Eliezer, you know that we have many businesses that have been affected. And I'm sure that you perhaps have indicated to the commissioner the many problems that the merchants are facing, but I would like to have at least an idea that he was going to come so the merchants themselves could have met the commissioner himself. There are many merchants that I'm not sure if you reached out. So I'm a little bit disappointed that the bid was not aware of this visit, taking into account that we have been the one taking on the brunt of all the problems that come to this area. So I'm very disappointed that the bid was not notified on this visit.
Well, I apologize for that, and I forgot to include to my report the condition that we went to visit on 205.
The real reason of his visit.
Apologize for that.
Danielle?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks so much for the update. 2 quick questions. The first question is, when you spoke to Con Ed, I'm wondering if you relayed or if you received any updates regarding the Harlem River Drive lighting situation, which I bring up every meeting. And the second question pertains to the 207 bridge, which I think I mentioned maybe 2 meetings ago. I had asked you whether it would be possible. I know in the past, there was no red light right before turning onto the Major Deegan South. But I wondered, given just the traffic situation in the morning, if they might reconsider that now and potentially remove the red light.
What you mean, the regulation that prohibit to turn on red?
Right.
Yes, the situation with the Harlem River Drive, yes, I discussed it with DOT. This is a DOT matter, and you know, I mentioned to the commissioner, you know, that I am disappointed with the way DOT is responded lately to all the requests. All the requests is this, that, you know, wishy-washy answer that really I am not satisfied. And I personally told DOT, you know, when I was working for DOT as a community liaison, the thing was resolved there. Right now, it seems like they are not resolved. And they give me the same answer. And, you know, I am very frustrated with DOT at this point because I have several items on my agenda every month that it seems not to get resolved. Only a wishy-washy response. And one of these items is this one, Danielle, on the Harlem River Drive. Also, I have the 174th Street, and I have the path from Haven Avenue to the Little Red Lighthouse. One thing that I forgot to make in my report, also, is we had a very good conversation with Columbia, designed for the restrooms. They were ordered. They showed me picture. They said they're being make it, and very soon it's going to be installed. I will let you know when that thing happened. I see another call, another hands from Faith.
Wait, I have a question about the 207 bridge. Did you relay did you speak to them at all about the turning on?
Yes, I would like to remind you that we used to have a red turn there to the Major Deegan. And one time, like a year and a half ago, there was an accident with a pedestrian, and they removed that because of that reason. Part of the pedestrian safety program. We can request it again, but this was planned, part of the Vision Zero plan after a pedestrian was run over on 165th Street on Broadway like a year and a half ago.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Faith Florimon?
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for the report. Yeah, I'm interested to find out, do you think you can forward it to me, the correspondent that you sent to the homeless office?
Sure.
Whenever you get the time, but, you know, since I'm involved, you know, our committee and this homeless, and the fact that it's a report that we never could have produced, we started writing, but few folks that were supposed to submit the report.
It's just an email telling me what they did in one particular case. And the main recommendation is please call 311 when you see a homeless condition. in order to address it. Is there any other question?
Okay, I told you to say it later.
I don't see any other question. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Mr. Chair, take it away.
Thank you, Ebenezer, for your lengthy but good report. I think that is beneficial to all of us. We're gonna move further down the agenda and call for any elected officials that are on the floor. I don't see any of them. I don't see only the representative, the staff.
Chris Nichols is there.
Has it been promoted already?
I think so. Hold on, let me recheck here.
Hey there,
Chris
folks.
Nichols.
Hey, Chris.
Is now the right time, Eliezer, or
Yeah,
do you have any other?
No, it's you, brother.
Wonderful. Hey, everybody. Wonderful to see you all, as always. The senator is up in Albany right now, wrapping up the rest of the legislative session. There are a number of items that are of pretty big importance for our office. One is following up on all the money that the senator helped win for education, $4.2 billion being phased in over 3 years going forward. Making sure that all of that money goes in New York City. It's about $1 billion. Making sure that it really goes to giving our students the resources that they need to recover from the pandemic, and finally fully funding our schools and what that actually looks like, because we've never had it. So we've been leading conversations with advocates around the city about that. The senator testified in front of the city council this morning at the finance committee hearing. And one of the parts of that is to make sure that the money gets used for smaller class sizes, which I know is a resolution that is coming before the board tonight. The senator sponsors a bill to amend the Contracts for Excellence program that would reduce those class sizes and mandate that the DOE do so with that money. So that's something that he's looking forward to hoping to get passed in Albany before the end of the legislative session. He, of course, supports big ticket items like the Climate and Community Investment Act, as well as the New York Health Act. Those have a smaller chance of passing because they're such big ticket items, but the push remains. And one of the big pushes he's made recently is to try and end qualified immunity, which is the doctrine that grants law enforcement and other public officers immunity from civil prosecution for malfeasance or malpractice on the job. It gets in the way of families getting justice after their loved ones have been brutalized by police. And it's a major impediment to a ton of other police reforms that can't happen until we repeal qualified immunity. So he's held 3 press conferences in the past 5 days. So if I seem a little tired, that's one of those reasons. One here, one in Albany, and then one in Rochester today. Those are the legislative items. We wrapped up our senior wellness calls. We reached over 22,000 seniors in the district and had meaningful connections with several thousand of them to attend to their needs. Our tutoring program is also wrapping up. We connected dozens of families with high quality tutors to help them through this remote learning period. And we're going to be doing clinics this summer. The governor just announced that the rent relief program is starting on June 1st. So we'll be out on the streets, and I will make sure that all of you get the locations and times of those clinics so that you can send anybody who has rent arrears to those clinics, as well as any undocumented friends you may have who can take advantage of the excluded worker fund. Thank you all.
Can you please promote Manuel and
Manuel is an
Lori?
entity.
Yes, and also Lori. If you can
Please,
promote them.
can Manuel be promoted?
And Lori.
Hi, excuse me, this is Lori Tobias Cohen. Was I just, something went
Yes.
wrong? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can
Hi.
start, Lori.
Okay, thank you. So I'm pleased to share with you that Congressman Espaillat is going to be hosting a Veterans Town Hall on the American Rescue Plan and that this is scheduled for tomorrow at 4 p.m. So if any of you know any veterans or, sorry, if any of you know any veterans or people who work with veterans, it's just a matter of going to the Congressman's Facebook group, and you can get access through that. I also want to, as you know, of course, we've been seeing the rolling out of the SBA grants, this current stimulus. And the most recent is called the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. So this is something uniquely targeted to theaters of any kind, performance spaces, big and small. And it's very interesting, museums as well, talent representatives, and so on. So again, please feel free to reach out to me for more information about that. I just want to personally give a shout out to Tanya because my family participated in the forum about noise levels in the community, and I thought it was beautifully done and extremely informative. So thank you. Okay. The congressman is pushing to have legislation for the bipartisan commission to research the January 6th insurrection. He is pushing for monies from the supplemental security funding for the Capitol complex so that there will be more security and we should never have to face what was faced on that day. In addition, he is promoting legislation to grant monies to the education department so that teens can get the help that they need to deal with their sexuality in a confidential situation so that they can get the information and the support that they need with these sorts of situations and not, God forbid, feel unnecessarily vulnerable. Similarly, safe drinking water in public playgrounds, parks, and libraries. And also a foreign policy issue, urging the government of El Salvador to respect the country's democratic institutions. Because as you know, if we could get the countries that are sending the majority of these poor folks to the border, if we could get them through our help to act more responsibly, take care of their people, these would be less pressing issues that the congressman has been deeply involved in. And that is, and there's a whole lot more I could tell you about legislation. And just to share with you also, he has been collaborating with Grace Meng from New York City, with Nydia Velasquez, and with others. And as you also know, this is his first season as a member of the Appropriations Committee. And that is a very, very positive outcome from his time in Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Lovely hat. Manny, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi,
Manny.
sorry about
Floor is
that.
yours, brother.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Manuel Beliad. To keep it brief, I just wanted to let you know about a Q&A the council member had this past Monday concerning immigration, housing law, and small business law. We had about 4 attorneys on the Q&A giving their expertise and personal advice to people all the attendees. And we have some spaces for one-on-one consults. So if you are interested, please call us at 212-928-6814 or email me directly and I'll give my email to the secretary and I'll drop it in the chat actually. And other than that, we have our monthly food pantry this Thursday. If you know of anybody who is suffering from food insecurity, please feel free to come to our office at 500 West 141st. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. How's Mark
Manuel,
doing? Hope he's doing good.
Mark's doing well. I believe he might be dropping in later, but
all right.
He's doing.
Manuel,
Sally-
can you leave your email address, please? I think I have it, but just to make sure. Leave it in the chat.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Natalie, are you going to be doing Gail's office report, or are we waiting for her to come?
Yes, that is the discretion of you, Mr. Chair. We'd of course love to report if you can indulge your eyes. Thank you so much. And thank you all.
So we're waiting on Gail. I think you were breaking out on the last part.
I apologize. Yeah, Blaine Spectrum. Yes, if you can wait for her, that would be wonderful. I will come and let you know.
Yes, beautiful. All right. So now
Ellie, you have Michael Stinson from the controller's office also.
Right.
Michael says, "Oh, I didn't recognize you, Michael. My apologies."
Okay.
So Will, floor is yours.
Yes. So, hi everyone. Michael Stinson. I'm the Manhattan Borough Director for Controller Stringer. I'm pinch hitting for Marielle, who's on leave for a little while. I'll be very brief because there's a lot of background noise outside my apartment. One of my neighbors thinks we're at a Home Depot and has been sawing all day in their backyard. So just one update from our office, and I'll also put my contact information in the chat so you all have it. But today the controller launched a new one-stop COVID-19 recovery center to connect New Yorkers with city, state, and federal relief and services as the city emerges from the pandemic. The comprehensive multilingual guide offers information, resources, and opportunities for tenants, homeowners, parents, small business owners, excluded workers, and more. Through the online hub, New Yorkers can access critical information about public programs, including the COVID-19 Rental Assistance Program, expanded child tax credit, COVID-19 funeral assistance, excluded workers funds, stimulus checks, affordable broadband access, and the Home Ownership Relief and Protection Program. I'll drop the link to this website in the chat, as well as my contact information. And until Marielle is back in the office late next month, please feel free to contact me if you need anything from our office. I'll give you both my phone number and my email address. And it's on 24/7. My wife hates when I announce that, but please feel free. We're a resource to you whenever you need us. Thank you.
Michael, thank you. Danielle, is that okay? Danielle.
Yeah, quick question sorry, I didn't get his name.
Yep, Michael Stinson, S-T-I-N-S-O-N.
Got you. Thank you for your for joining us. I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Marielle mentioned a while back that there was this initiative to sort of abolish fees associated with parole. And I had asked her once for an update, but I don't know where you are in that process or if you have any updates.
I don't have an update right now. I can check in on it for you and get back to you.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry we haven't gotten back to you sooner about
It's okay.
that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions to Michael before he leaves? Starts working in his own apartment to bother the noises, to bother his neighbors.
I'm going to stay on. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to mute myself so that way you don't have to go to
Great.
Home Depot.
So if anyone else has any questions to ask, he'll be around. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. My regards to Marielle. I haven't heard of her for a while.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public session. So we are going to go down the list. I have Paola was able to put in or logged on 17 names. Guys, if you want to promote the first four, Dr. Gary Alfheim, David Friend, and Anonymous I'm not promoting, Zadie Adams, and Cristobal Vivar. I repeat again, Gary, David Friend, Zadie Adams, and Cristobal Vivar. David Allen, my apologies.
That's okay. Am I up?
Yes, but Dr. Gary Eltham is first.
Thank you.
There I go. Hello?
Gary, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I'd love to give you an hour, but half the time, you brother.
Okay. So you can hear me now.
There you go.
Okay. I did not want to become an activist. I had to. I would like to clarify some false statements and misinformation about GDS before the vote on the resolutions that are essential for the betterment of our community. I understand some of you from the past do not like me. So for the new community board 12 members, I urge you to be open and know this is not about me. It is about leveling the playing field and speaking truth to power. It is about youth and elders having essential services to support their well-being. You may be sick and tired of hearing about GDS in the Armory. I am sick and tired too. My strength is mental health counseling and youth work. I've been advocating for social justice for 10 years and 10 months. The first time I spoke at CB12 was December 9th, 2011. It is in the minutes, and you can see a photo of me speaking that day on our Facebook page, Advocacy for Heights. Some of you have been told lies, and for some reason are believing them. Maybe you are connected to high-powered CB12 members that don't like GDS for uncovering the truth, talking about corruption and mismanagement and true ownership of the New York City, Fort Washington Armory. People ask me, why do I keep coming back to community board? You can't beat City Hall. Why don't you just give up? Well, I'll tell you why. I'm an idealist. I thought the community board was supposed to be for the voice of the people. I believe we need moral leadership and intellectual honesty for true change to happen in our city, country, and world. I'm not giving up on my ideals. I hope you all vote with your conscience, not political pressure. If you don't like me, that's okay. Please like the truth. Please vote for free mental health services. Please like youth and development intergenerational programs. Please help create the Heights Community Center. Vote yes to GDS. Vote in favor of the resolutions for better oversight and reinstate GDS services back into their space for the New York City Army.
Gary. I'd like to also mention that if there are more than one member of any given organization, to please try and have one consolidated message. I think that it's important to advocate, but I think that we need to give others opportunity also to speak. And we don't want to sort of like just have the one issue be the dominating narrative tonight. So I'd like to have as many people to speak as we can. David, you're next.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, there's more than one David. Is it David Friend? I've been promoted.
David Friend. It's
Okay.
David Friend. Yes.
Thank you. That's me.
All right.
I'm David Friend.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm David Allen.
No worries. Common David problem. There are lots of us. Yes, hi. I'd like to speak as to the application for a liquor license from Buddha, which is, they've already been before the full community board and they were rejected resoundingly. They were then unanimously rejected by the SLA. And they're back tonight, even though really nothing fundamentally has changed about their application. I would encourage all of you to vote to oppose granting this liquor license. I live in the building directly across the street, 11 Fort George Hill, which is the Mitchell Lama building, housing a lot of older residents. It's a very complicated intersection with a lot of traffic problems. On the other side of this location, there is a very large school complex, and across the street from it, there is a church. This is not the place to open a nightclub. And it is clear that what this business would be a nightclub. If it were a family restaurant, there are family restaurants on that block and we love them. But what we can't have is valet parking, is DJs until 4 a.m., is drunk driving, is all of the problems that are associated with this kind of venue that we've seen on Dykeman Street. We cannot have this in this location with so many particularly vulnerable residents, including school children and large complexes of elderly people. The Isabella Geriatric Center is also right around the corner. So please vote against this liquor license. It's really not in the interest of the community.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Zaidi and then Cristobal.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you all for giving me the time to speak. I also want to thank you for the time you spent working through the resolution regarding growth development services, GDS reinstatement. and oversight of the Fort Washington Avenue Armory. I'm GDS Community Liaison and Program Coordinator. Last week, we sent out a document to Eli, Ariel, and Mariel with GDS proven success, outcomes, and testimonials, given that there seemed to be some confusion amongst board members about the work that GDS does. We asked and are hoping that the document was sent to all members of the community board to clear up that confusion. Even though I've only been working at GDS for a year, I'm an eyewitness to the positive impact of our programs on the youth we serve, and that in itself speaks volumes. During my time at GDS, I've worked with youth who self-harm and had suicidal ideation and watched them get encouraged to go to therapy, start meditating, start journaling, and was even able to get motivated to find a job during this global pandemic. This transition would have taken a lot longer or potentially may have not even happened without the help of GDS, empowering this incredible youth person to know their worth and giving them the tools to advocate for themselves. This is the work that we do at GDS, and that is why I'm here on behalf of these mental health services. A best friend of mine died by depression and ultimately suicide. He didn't have access to programs like GDS, and if he did, he may still be alive today. I'm here to prevent more of our youth from dying of depression or ending up in prison or without opportunity. We're doing our part to combat these issues, and this is why we urge you to vote in favor of the reinstatement of GDS and oversight of Fort Washington Avenue Armory. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaidi. Cristobal?
Hi, my name is Urvashi Rangan, and Cristobal and I are making comment together. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, we're commenting on the Muskota Marsh dock being closed. We are paddlers in Northern Manhattan. We are residents of Upper Manhattan and homeowners. And the Muskota Marsh dock has been closed, as you know, for a year, and it has no plans to be repaired until at least by this fall, but rumor says not till the end of this year. This has been an incredible hardship for those of us who paddle in Northern Manhattan. We do not have safe access to the water in Upper Manhattan, and that leads to a lot of less safe options. We understand that there is an agreement that's gone through this community board that is the Bakersfield Agreement between Columbia and the New York City Parks Department, which in fact is up for renewal, we believe May 20th, and up for expiration this May 30th. It's a 10-year agreement, but it does require Columbia to maintain dock access. We believe that a year is simply too long, and they are in breach of that contract, and they need to repair that dock immediately. In the meantime, we are asking for temporary access to the public water. It is a public dock. It is part of the public trust doctrine, and we are not being guaranteed that access at this time. And it does not seem to be a priority with the Parks Department or Columbia. We have a petition that is signed by over 166 people at this point. We have sent letters to Columbia. We have made calls to the Parks Department, and we're now here at Community Board 12 looking for your help and your engagement to help in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. If you will, Ebenezer, put your number, your email address on the chat so that
I'd be
what's your name
happy
again?
to do that. My name is
What's your-
Urvashi Rangan, and I'm with Cristobal Vivar as well.
Thank you. I appreciate if you send us the documentation that you have.
Thank you so much. I'll do that.
No problem. Thanks. Next up, Ms. Anastas.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Is this for Emmanuel?
Oh, Emmanuel, right. Sorry. Didn't have the
Yes.
full name. My apologies.
Yes, good evening to you. Thank you to you all. I'm so very impressed to be with you all. I don't have a formal statement. I am a tenant in 11 Fort George Hill. I'm 41 years old. I'm a local educator at Wheels School. And I can tell you that our noise complaints have been going on for years. There's not hundreds or thousands, but there's tens of thousands from what I understand on my own block. If you were to like live on the other side of the neighborhood, like on Fort Tryon, you would be terribly disconnected to the plight and the problem that we go through here in the summer every single night. I'm talking about the liquor license for the Buddha bar that is trying to open up across the street. My neighbors, I just had a neighbor that left. She's an assistant principal with a beautiful house in 11 Fort George Hill that she just gave up because she didn't feel like it was safe enough It was too loud at night. The people that took her apartment the first night they met me, they asked me in response to the loud music, they said, does this happen every night? Okay, so again, I'm a 40-year-old male. I'm a musician. I love music, but it's just too much. I feel the fact that there's thousands of complaints and the fact that we're not being heard. We are terribly frustrated here. If you don't live here, if you don't come by, you may run the risk of being disconnected from what we are experiencing. And there is already bus stop congregation here at the corner. So I wouldn't say the situation is loud. I would say on some nights it's a war zone. So I apologize if I wasn't clear in any way, but please don't let any nightclub open up. We need to be quieter, not louder.
Manuel, thank you for your comments. Really appreciate your candidness and the fact that you came forward and expressed how it affects you. Thank you. Next up is Chris Nickel.
Chris already spoke. This
Yeah,
I
don't have anything to say, Eliezer.
Oh, I saw your name. That Paola gave me your name as part of the public speaking list.
Yeah, I thought he was speaking there. He signed up for that too. So
No, my pronouns are they, them. So they were not signed up to be speaking there. Thank you all.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Okay, Chris. Would have loved to hear you anyways. Mr. Allen, the right David?
Yes, well, yes, this is David Allen. You can hear me? Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
You can. Okay, great. Thank you. I want to thank all of you for your volunteer service. Very few people outside this call are aware of or would truly appreciate your commitment to the community. Volunteering affects the entire community. Ironically, the decision to become a volunteer is usually a very personal one. I'd like you to think back to the first time you decided to volunteer. What was it that generated the passion and drive that would have you, like we are doing on a beautiful spring night tonight, sit staring at a screen inside of four walls? This is what motivates me. When I was 2 years old, my mother tried to kill herself. I spent the first few years of my life running away from a violent older brother who had yet to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder. My sister lost her hair at 8 years old and became a heroin addict in her teens. Surrounded by this, my oldest brother was suffering from panic and anxiety disorder by the time he finished high school. However, this year my mother turns 82. She's a great mother and a great grandmother. My sister became a successful pastry chef. One brother played football for Ohio State, and another brother has won 2 Emmy Awards. We were lucky. We had money, resources, insurance. Finding help was easy and always readily available. What happens to a child in this community whose mother attempts suicide or is undiagnosed with bipolar disorder? Where do they go? Where can they afford to go? For 24 years, they had GDS available in the Armory for free. The great mosaic that makes up this city is relatively pale still because the resources available to the beautiful youth of this community are not equal to others. How much greater will this city and world be when these children are given access to the free mental health services that GDS has successfully provided? The bright side here is that change does not require an election or an outsider. The power to not only save these children, but to watch them thrive and grow is in your hands. You can have a direct and lasting impact on their lives simply by voting yes to GDS. Vote in favor of the revolutions for better oversight of New York City.
Thank you, David.
Washington Armory, and to reinstate GDS services back into their space at the Armory.
Thanks, David.
God bless you, and thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for your service.
All right, appreciate it. Next up, in 1 second, Ms. Rosenthal.
Hi, everybody.
Ms. Rosenthal?
Rosenblatt.
Rosenblatt. I'm calling it the way that it's spelled. My bad.
That's all right.
Alrighty.
How's the sound? Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Excellent. Then I'll begin. Good evening. Washington Heights has been home to me and my family since we all got off the boat decades ago. Whatever ethnic group found their way here, it was always with a vibrant sense of purpose to make this place home. The special character of the place even led Lin-Manuel Miranda to showcase the ups and downs of this neighborhood in the Tony Award-winning musical In the Heights. And that show, in turn, is about to open as a movie musical imminently. I've watched the ebbs and flows of immigrants.
Section of Fort George's residential.
I've watched the ebbs and flows of immigrants come and go. I'm one of them. I went to George Washington High School, graduated from City College. I'm also a grateful beneficiary of the Mitchell Lama program that gave my parents a shot at a wonderful home here at Inwood Tower. My dad was on the first board of directors. I'm on the board now. This is a neighborhood where I feel safe. Exiting the subway at 191st, I'll often see a group of locals playing dominoes outside a barber shop on a warm evening. Kids and parents dining at the many restaurants we're lucky to have, folks going to church or visiting family at the nearby senior center. I often get great café con leche at La Caridad in the morning and frequently procure their excellent arroz con pollo for my own guests at home. Well, now that I've whetted your appetite, my point is that our neighborhood has always supported small businesses. We also value the safety and serenity of the hood. I was dismayed to learn that a liquor license was being sought for an establishment across the street from my home because I know what late night alcohol fueled behavior can result in. Just take a stroll down Dyckman Street on a Friday night. The double parking alone makes it hazardous to even drive down there. But there is much more to consider. The location of the proposed establishment is right at the terminus of the number
Apologies.
That intersection is rife with vehicular hazards, being the nexus of St. Nicholas Avenue, Fairview Avenue, Fort George Hill, and 193rd Street.
Thank
I
you.
recall this past summer, in the middle of COVID, fireworks being set off right at
Thank you, Ms. Rosenberg. Appreciate it. Ada Graciano, Alberto Aquino, and Eileen King.
Can I speak now? This is Ada Graciano.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, good evening. I'm also a resident of 11 Fort George Hill, and I have been a Washington Heights resident for 45 years. I am originally from the Dominican Republic. I came here as a teenager, and I have been a resident of Inwood Tower for 27 years. Okay, I would like to thank the licensing committee for not granting the liquor license to Buddha Corporation at 1654 St. Nicholas Avenue. And I hope they tried 3 times to get this license approved. First of all, on a restaurant, then they tried it as a tavern. I would like the community board to make sure that this license is not granted to this business. Okay, the community board is here to help the entire community. And you need to keep this community safe. It is, people have already spoken about, the noise and the bad behavior, the double parking. I am a mental health professional, and I cannot even begin to tell you the impact that the noise and that type of business is going to have in the academic performance of our children in the community, the motivation. For us, the adults, the productivity, even physical illnesses that will be caused by the stress, okay? So allowing an establishment like that will only contribute to more traffic, to a corner that is already identified as a hot spot. I'd like to say a boiling spot, because there's a lot going on in that corner. So please, for the sake of this neighborhood, of this beautiful neighborhood that I have been living in for 45 years. Please say no to this type of license. They can use the money for other things in this community other than liquors and just eating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Graciano. Thank you for your comments. Next up.
Hi, I'm Alberto Aquino. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Alberto. I work as the Director of Youth Programming at the Armory Track and Field. I'm just here to speak to you about some of the wonderful things that we're doing at the Armory. So we just wrapped up 2 of our free after-school programs for the neighborhood. Our academic after-school program that again is free for the kids in the community, called Armory College Prep Middle School Program. We made video games. We played the stock market game, taught the kids how to get rich or how to become stock market legends. And we built Lego robots. This free after-school program welcomed over 40 children from 15 different schools in the neighborhood. We also just wrapped up our other free athletic program called City Track and Little Feet. We ran regular workouts for our 300 children, all from Northern Manhattan. This program was exclusive for the children in Washington Heights, Inwood, and Harlem. In October and November, we actually ran programming 5 days a week. And with the COVID regulations, we had 60 kids a day at the Armory. When the hospital used the building for vaccinations, we led our children remotely up until mid-May through online workouts that were led by Olympians, college All-American athletes, and world champions. This program was available to all the kids in the district. We also had free program, we're also working with the superintendent's office to continue getting kids healthy and moving through their WIN initiative. We're planning some really fun and awesome things for the fall. This summer, we are gonna have summer programming and we actually already booked up. The program is from 9 to 4, so it's most of the working hours of the day. Parents filled up our program because they're looking for high quality childcare options. We're gonna get the kids moving at the park. We're gonna visit museums, and we're gonna get the kids some free bicycles, which were a very generous donation. We are also gonna be a voting center for the next election at the Armory. So if you are interested in voting, you can look for us there. And we continue to be a Learning Lab center. If you're unfamiliar with what Learning Labs does, it's a free childcare program for parents in the community who want to send their kids in for days when they can't go to school. So we have kids from kindergarten to 8th grade who are sending their kids to the Armory Monday through Friday so that they can get care. Okay, no problem. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today.
Appreciate that. Ms. King?
Yes, thank you very much. I also am living at 11 Fort George Hill, and I would only add to what everybody has said a very different point. I want to add the point that this is the 3rd time that we are approaching the community board on the very same liquor license under the very same conditions. It's not a different arrangement. It's not a different configuration. It is exactly the same license, both in October and in March, and now today. So I appeal to the community board. It's that we all have many things to do, and this liquor license should be denied, and it should be final. This, to keep going over and over, we will do it. But please, as a community board, I ask you to give this as the last time that they can apply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. King. Ms. Sheila Orange?
Orange.
Orange.
It's a misspelling of orange, which was a translation from the Polish Orszak when my grandparents immigrated to Manhattan. My father grew up on the streets. I'm starting my timer too. He was out on the streets with a shoe shine kit when he was 8.
All right, so we're gonna start now. Thank you.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. I want to thank all of the community board members, the ones who are here and the ones who are not, for the value that you bring to the community. And I want to talk about that a little bit. In July of 2020, the independent sector with the Do Good Institute announced the latest value of a volunteer hour is $27.20, which was up 7%. The estimated data collected in 2019 shows the value of volunteer hours in America was $187.7 billion to our nation. What you do matters. But who is going to replace you in another 10 years? Who's going to be the community board? It's going to be the youth of your community. Volunteering helps teens gain new skills necessary for the job market, leadership, communication skills, dependability, time management, decision-making. As teens get involved in volunteering, it makes it a family event. Thank you. I got involved with GDS years ago, but this past year, I was able to help with the summer program. I have seen the difference it makes, not to the tens and hundreds of kids who can run on tracks, but to the youth and their families who have severe mental health issues and need the free mental health assistance that GDS is able to provide. Please vote in favor of the resolutions for better oversight and to
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wise comments. Next up. Mary Mamados. Mary, you're next. Can you unmute Mary? Maybe she doesn't, she's not listening to us. Mary, 1-1, there you go.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, got you.
Okay, good evening. I also would like to speak about the application for a liquor license by the Buddha Corporation at St. Nicholas and 193rd. The conditions that led to opposition in the past by the community and the precinct have not changed. We are still opposed. This section of Fort George is residential. It's almost entirely apartment buildings, except for a little church and the George Washington campus and the satellite campus. It is only by a very tiny distance that this application skirts the SLA rules about being too close to a school. While it may not be technically prohibited, it doesn't make it okay. This is just not the right place for this business. We who are speaking tonight are not recent transplants to the area. We are long-term residents trying to protect our neighborhood, our families, and our seniors. We already have our share of existing noise and traffic problems and sleepless nights. We don't need to make things worse. In recent years, there has been an unfortunate trend uptown that whenever a large storefront opens up, regardless of whatever service it provided before, some investor immediately envisions a bar and a new liquor license that benefits only himself. The community board must consider the impact of their decisions on the entire community. Buddha calls itself a restaurant, but it is clear that their goal is to operate as a nightclub. By the type of license that they applied for, by their size, by the large sound system they installed, by their application for a DJ in late hours, as well as its common knowledge. A nightclub would just change the entire feeling of this neighborhood, and it's just not the right place. I urge the members of Community Board 12 to please vote no again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Mercy Joseph, and last but not least, Mr. Miguel Guadalupe. Ms. Joseph or Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, Miss Joseph.
Ms.
Hi.
Joseph.
Mercy, yes. Hi, how are you? Good evening, everybody. And I am also living in the Inwood Tower. And this is, I am on to talk about this Buddha, that's a liquor license. And apparently my apartment is right front of this Buddha, that's a place. So it's, I am thoroughly concerned about this noise pollution. Not only noise pollution, and it's been going on. I've been living in the last 25 years, and the last 15 years, this neighborhood completely, it's a, very high, not unable to sleep during the night. And when we get old, we need a time to sleep silently. That's not happening here. And I've been, believe it or not, every weekend I am calling 311. Now 34th precinct become my second home. Every day I am friendly with them because every day I am going there to complain, but nothing happening. So please reconsider. This is the third time they are telling you to get the license. Please consider this, don't give the license and it's going to be final. Because it's not only that loud noise, it's up to 2 a.m. and there would be that means people gathering around because it's a very congested place. And rich, that means senior citizens neighborhood. So it affects their day-to-day lifestyle and it's made to reflect their mental health, everything. Please, this is what I want, and you can tell that, okay, you complain call 311 or 34th precinct, but that nothing happening. So this is just recording it. Okay, I have a proof that made the complaint, but it's nothing happened. Thank you. And please consider again.
Mary, you did so well.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. If you can kindly please mute
Shows.
your,
Yeah, sure, I will do that.
okay, thank you. I have two people that are already. So, Miguel?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today or tonight. My name is Miguel Guadalupe. I'm the Director of Donor and Community Engagement at BRC, the Bowery Residents Committee. And Liz Ritter asked me to come speak to you guys just briefly to give you an update of what's going on at the 3966 10th Avenue spot on 212th Street. That is the site, as you all know, where we recently found to have a history of being a cemetery for enslaved Africans, as well as a historical sacred site for the Lenape peoples. We have been looking at the site, doing research on it, and just recently, in May 2nd, we had a restorative ceremony before we did an archaeological investigation. This archaeological investigation is required by our Landmarks Preservation Society of the city before any construction is to be done on the site. They have concluded, and what was found, and I don't really have the detail report is coming, but we just were presented yesterday that no visible, no physical remains, artifacts, etc., have been found on the site. The site has been, in essence, historically very much developed, over the decades. And so, just wanted to give you guys the update on that. The advisory group for the Inwood Sacred Site is still going on, of which some members are part of. And the next steps for that is to really take a look at what we can do to commemorate and honor the site as we build, if we move forward with the construction of a BRC facility, which will include a site to commemorate and honor the history of the peoples there. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. I have one last person who just added on to the list. His name is Javier Polanco. If he can list it as appears as Ada Graciano, if it can be promoted, please.
Hi, sorry about that. This is her son in the other room. I thank you for granting me the ability to speak. I will make sure to keep this short and sweet. So I am a graduate student. I'm 24 years old, pursuing a master's in speech language pathology. And I don't ask for much in life because I don't have to do anything other than do well in school, get that master's, get on and go help that community of mine, which is what I want to do. I want to work with children in the DOE, and being a bilingual speech language pathologist would only benefit so many people. So the thing about it is, since I don't ask for much, one thing that I'm asking for that I shouldn't be asking for is peace. What do I mean by that? Well, peace should be a given. And I don't think that if we open that Buddha establishment across the street from where I live, that's not going to provide peace for me, for you, for anyone in the area, in the entire area. I've worked with children in the community in the Y of Washington Heights. I've been to various schools observing how speech language pathologists interact with children. And I want to be there to provide for these children later on. And right now, I'm almost there. I need one more year to graduate. And I would be wonderful if I could get something as simple as sleep and peace. I don't think adding that establishment across the street, even though I eat at the Buddha Corporation down the hill on Broadway in the Buddha Beer Bar, and I go there, I'm a local. I don't think adding that up here in St. Nicholas is going to be the same thing. It's not going to be the same vibe. It's just not going to work, all right? There is no way that you can make it work with a high school behind it, elementary school to the left, and a bunch of other establishments that people, elderly, young, or old, go to. So if it doesn't, as Judge Judy says, if it doesn't make sense, it's not true, all right? So thank you very much for this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So folks, this is probably one of the best.
Eleazar, I have my hand raised for a
Well,
quick
I don't,
question.
I don't get questions during the public session. That's not what
It's to
usually how the process works.
just very
Well,
quickly clarify
sure.
something that
Okay,
the previous speaker said. Just to be clear, Buddha Beer Bar on Broadway is a completely unrelated business that has nothing to do with the Buddha whatever that's on the agenda. I just want to make clear that they are two completely different operators. Buddha Beer Bar has nothing to do with this Buddha that is the item that everybody has been speaking in opposition to. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Alrighty, so thank you. This is probably the most interesting part of every meeting that we have, because this is where everyone chimes in and has a shot at really speaking out about situations that we cannot all have knowledge of, but we get community members and community residents and stakeholders to come in and tell us exactly how they feel about issues. So thank you once again. We could be more than 2 minutes, but we have a lot in our agenda. Thanks once again. And we're gonna move on to the committee resolutions. My great friend, Mary Anderson, has the first take at her presenting the resolution on the reopening of the senior centers. Mary?
Woohoo. So I'm hoping that everyone has read the resolution that was sent out to everyone. The idea of this was, because Gail Brewer has actually had rallies and press conferences at several of the senior centers. And it's quite clear that the seniors want the centers to be reopened. They need that socialization. They need the food, the nutritious food. They need the exercise. They need, they need each other. And the idea is that there's a really slow, sort of unplanned process of reopening the centers at this point. They talked about starting the grab and go meals, but that's all they've talked about at this point. And the seniors have had enough of socialization, not being able to socialize, I should say, and being stuck in their apartments, not being able to tune into the outside world because they don't have the equipment to, get into Zoom meetings or activities. They don't, if they have the equipment, they don't know how to use it, or they don't have the connectivity because it's expensive. We've been encouraged to try to speed this process along and get these senior centers reopened yesterday, so as quickly as possible. So I'm hoping that we did present this at the executive committee because of the urgency of the situation, and it passed the executive committee, and we're hoping that it will also pass in this committee to be ratified. Don't know if anybody has any questions about the resolution.
Do we get any questions? Your resolutions are fairly non-controversial, so they usually get everyone's approval. So Mary, thank you. Thank you once again. Next one down is their friend Wayne Benjamin, who's gonna present us with 3 resolutions. And I'm gonna extend the time because there's 3 of them to at least 6 minutes. Wayne?
Okay, thank you. I will not take 6 minutes. There are 3 land use resolutions. I will point out that the first one, the Port Authority ULURP application, was voted on by the executive committee because the deadline for submitting comments at the end of the 60-day period was yesterday. So it's presented to the board tonight, as is the case with all resos that are acted on by the executive committee for ratification. Simply put, the Board of Estimate, which no longer exists, but the Board of Estimate approved the Port Authority's plan to build the ramps to a lower level in the 1950s. The ramps were built. The Port Authority has operated the ramps since the early 1960s. However, in the course of the Restore the George project, it was just discovered that neither the Port Authority or the City of New York have any paperwork to show that the property on which the ramps are built was ever formally transferred to the Port Authority from the City of New York. And that's what this ULURP application is doing. There are a number of streets that were mapped but never built. Those streets have to be demapped and the property transferred from the city to the Port Authority. There's also at the end of Haven Avenue a little turnaround, which on the face is part of the street, but that property actually belongs to the Port Authority. And so the Port Authority will transfer that property to DOT so that it becomes part of the street. So that's what the Port Authority ULURP resolution does. The resolution for Elevate Transit is to promote greater accessibility throughout the MTA system by expanding both the current provisions for easements on private property, which allow for, if you've ever seen where the subway entrance is not on the sidewalk, but it's built into the private building, it expands those provisions, but it also expands certain provisions where, depending upon the location, there can be zoning bonuses to incentivize private owners to build station improvements, and those station improvements have to be substantial, like adding elevators to it. Currently, a lot of the incentives are focused in Midtown Manhattan and the financial district, and this will make those incentives available, citywide. And in terms of the, easements, any property within 50 feet would have to confer with the MTA. In the central business district, any property within 1,500 feet would have to confer with the MTA when they're building a new building or doing a major renovation. And so that would be citywide. And then the final, and I would just point out that in voting for this resolution, we pointed out that former board member Edith Prentice was a strong advocate for accessibility, and we voted to support this, in her name and in her memory. The last resolution is the Department of City Planning's citywide text amendment for hotel development. You'll recall that in February, we passed a resolution that was really focused on the scoping for the draft environmental impact statement. The draft environmental impact statement was done. It was released, as was the actual text amendment. We support the intent of the text amendment. We have some questions about how DCP responded to some of the comments that we made on the draft environmental impact statement. And so we encourage them to respond to those in a more substantive manner. And the issues on which city planning does not have jurisdiction, we're encouraging City Hall and the City Council to put procedures in place so the agencies that do have jurisdiction can in fact act on those recommendations.
Good, great timing.
Questions?
Any questions, y'all? Nope.
Back to you.
Great, Wayne. Thank you. Thank you. Once
Can I say
again,
something?
a lot
Can
of
I
hard
say
work.
something?
What was that?
Wayne, you're doing an amazing job, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco.
Mr. Miranda, 3 resolutions and a whole lot of time. Ariel, you with us? Saw you earlier.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Clock's running.
All righty. So it will not take me as long. We have 3 resolutions that we discussed this past month. The first is being an annual, pretty much re-upping of the very same resolution that we usually ask for, which is to not have any increases being supported by the New York City Rent Guidelines Board and its upcoming vote that will be happening at the, well, either today or tomorrow, I think at this point. Or rather in June, sorry. And then our two other resolutions are following up on our previous month's meeting where we asked that we brought back the resolutions, but now being separated, whereas one is specific to the oversight issues of the Fort Washington Avenue Armory. And then the second is more specific to the issues that have arisen in regards to GDS and its space being there. We discussed, quite frankly, these two individual resolutions in great length. We have now gone about 6 months straight forward talking about the issues, raising how pretty much we felt that there was not the right sort of oversight that should have been implemented by DHS. We felt that DHS has failed in many regards to uphold what is required by the New York City Charter and has not necessarily done a great job of really assuring the public that it's managing the finances that are coming from our tax dollars. In regards to the space that is there, we have not gotten any information. As many of you know, I again requested information that was requested back in 2019 from DHS that is still yet to come. So today we stand at the very same point as we did back in 2019, not receiving any further information, not receiving access to publicly available space as is required by the license that was given to the Fort Washington Avenue Armory. And we are asking for really what is better oversight than has been implemented in the past by an enormous agency that does not respond. So that is my take on all three resolutions. And I'm happy to hear from anyone. Any questions, any thoughts? I'm here.
See Sally's hand up. Sally?
Yeah, I think there's just a couple of typos. When you separate the resolution, for example, when you go to the GDS resolution, it says be it further resolved. There's no resolve before that. So I think there's some, I think it needs to be cleaned up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to just make sure I correct those edits. Thank you.
Right, Sally. Liz?
Yeah, I'm confused. Ariel, you said 3 resolutions, and I see that there's a resolution about the Fort Washington Armory and there's a resolution about GDS. What's the third one?
The vote that's going to be coming before the Rent Guidelines Board in June.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you.
A great catch, though. Jim?
Here I come. I just want to make a comment. And I also to remind everyone that when we vote, we're not allowed to mention why we vote. So now I will make a general comment, which may explain what happens later. There are many reasons why one might abstain on a resolution. And actually, many years ago, I pointed out that it is a sort of sneaky way of being against it. But there are, again, many reasons why one might abstain. For example, they don't like the form of the resolution or some wording or whatever. So I just wanted to make that general comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aisha?
Good evening. So I just wanted to speak. I know.
Aisha?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
It's
think
okay.
I got remuted.
Sorry.
So I wanted to speak to the fact that just maybe about an hour before the meeting started, the Armory Foundation forwarded over documents stating that they were in response to the concerns that are raised in the resolution. I wanted to speak to the claims that are made therein. First of all, the document they were just forwarded. It's May 2021. This matter has been going on for 8 years at minimum. All of the meetings that have been held, which I'm sure many of the members agree, there's been too many meetings, unfortunately. So, and they're all held by open public meetings law. So to say that they were not afforded an opportunity to speak to the concerns is false. Further, despite their continued efforts to ignore the actual concerns while instead continuing to sell their programs and accomplishments, this matter simply is not about that. It's about the misuse of the building according to the license which governs it in ways which both the Armory Foundation and DHS have admitted to over the years. CB12 did visit the Armory Foundation despite them claiming that we did not. We also subsequently made a request directly to DHS because they are the ones actually in governance of the building, for them to give us a tour of the building, because the original tour was lacking. We were not showed most of the spaces in that building so that we could have an understanding of what the full the use could be in the building. The agency has been completely non-compliant to the extent that this board has had to vote on the fact that they were not complying with our requests for years. And as Ariel Miranda has just spoken to, they continue to do so because the agency itself is a part of the negligence in this matter. How much time do I have left? I'm sorry.
About 45 seconds.
Okay. So again, this is not about their programming. This is about the use of the building. That misuse has unfortunately excluded too many organizations in our community from being able to have the access that they have. And they state that they offer space at no or low cost to community organizations. But in fact, the senior program, as we heard Mary Anderson speak to how important and necessary opportunities for the seniors to engage and have activities and places where they can do so are, they overcharged the seniors $15,000 and they had to cancel a walking program that could have functioned there. And New Balance instead was offered low cost rent, which is a for-profit organization. Please vote
Thanks,
yes for
Aisha.
both of these resolutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Aisha. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. Glenis, you're next, and then Steve Simon.
Thank you, Eli. And thank you everyone for the opportunity to address what Aisha just said. The information that was sent to the board earlier tonight was also forwarded to the board office in February. And we asked, and by we, I mean the Armory Foundation asked that it be sent to the entire board. I'm not sure if that ever happened. I know I never got a copy of it as a board member, but that was sent in response to the original resolution in February. Furthermore, I want to be clear, if everyone, I hope everyone took a moment to read all of the things that we said in that letter and in the letter of compliance. You know, the Armory Foundation is in compliance with its license, and that is coming straight from DHS, who oversees our facility. And secondly, Aisha is saying that this is about utilization and not our programming, but our programming is our utilization at the Armory. The things that we do and the programming that we provide are the reason we are in that building, and that we are doing the things that we do for the community, for the kids of New York, for everyone involved. You know, I welcome anyone from this board or the public to come to the Armory, come and see for yourself what we are not doing and what we are doing. The spaces that are being used, our doors are wide open, and they have been since this all started. You know, we are a very, very, very transparent organization. We have been in this neighborhood for almost 30 years. You can find all of our financial information up to date through fiscal year 20 on our website. We have nothing to hide. We are here to serve. And I hope that everyone understands that. And I hope that everyone really, if you have any questions, please come to me, come to our organization. We are happy to sit down and talk about anything at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenis. Steve, and then Barbara. Steve?
Yeah, I just want to say that I have probably been involved with issues concerning this Armory for going back to about 1980, probably longer than anyone who has been on this board, who is on this board, maybe longer than some of the people on this board have been alive. And what I remember from the early 1980s is how this was nothing more than a huge men's shelter, and the drill floor was just filled with maybe 1,000 or more cots. And the change today is transformational. It's a much, the building is being used to a much greater extent. I think for positive purposes, certainly than it was used back then. I just want to point out specifically that whereas the resolution repeatedly says that that the Armory Foundation has allegedly breached the licensing agreement and has done all sorts of things which seems to be twisted around. The letter that we have received, that the community board itself received in 2019 from DHS, this resolution keeps saying DHS has never responded to the board. Here we have a letter from 2019 addressed to Ebenezer Smith, in which the DHS says the Armory Foundation has been an invaluable partner in stewarding the historic Fort Washington Armory building itself, complying with their license agreement and continuing to demonstrate their commitment to being a good neighbor and community member by effecting millions of dollars in capital improvements over the past decade, investing millions more in the ongoing operation and administration of their robust and acclaimed programs, and offering discounts to local residents. So I think that's a pretty strong response to that resolution. And let me also say that I have a problem with the third whereas of the second resolution asking that GDS be reinstated well, I have a problem with the whole resolution. But for one thing, even if issues were raised in 2014, something may have changed at the point at which DHS decided that GDS had to be evicted from the building. I don't think we know the whole story. I don't think we know exactly why DHS decided to evict GDS. And so without having all that information, I don't know how this board can really vote on this resolution. And my problem with the third whereas is that it refers to a meeting attended by Dr. Gary Oldtime and Dr. Norbert Sander, who is no longer alive. So we don't really know what took place at that meeting. When you say that the Armory Foundation, that it was stated in person that the Armory Foundation had wrongfully attempted to evict GDS, well, we don't know that as a fact. And I don't think this board can legitimately make that statement in a resolution.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Barbara and then Mitch Mariel. Barbara?
I've followed this Armory issue for several years. One, because my daughter was involved in the New York Roadrunner track and field program there, which I greatly appreciated, Sunday afternoon program. And also because I was formerly the assistant chair and chair of the Housing and Human Services Committee. Some of the statements that the Armory Foundation makes are rather grandiose. For example, sponsoring all the track and field events. Those events, I believe, were mainly attended by suburban and other like Upper East Side high schools. They were not, they did not involve our community high schools or high schools of Upper Manhattan and Harlem. And you would see the buses arrive and the students from other areas unload and enjoy the services of the Armory. So that one of the main issues is the lack of involving in those kinds of activities students from our neighborhood. And I specifically addressed that to Armory officials and I got a shrug. Another thing was supposedly like a senior program. They advertised one with a quarter page or half page thing in the Manhattan Times. I called up, oh, this is great. Senior exercise or senior thing at the Armory. I called up. I thought, oh, they'll have a trainer there, use all the Armory stuff like the Sunday thing for kids. No, you know what it was? For $15 per session, you could walk around the track, do walking for 1 or 2 hours. Now that doesn't address anything for seniors in our community. To pay $15 to walk around a track, no trainer, no other activities, no supervised exercise, nada. You can much cheaper go to an excellent gym than to do something like that. Was just bells and whistles. And those are the kind of, that's really getting to the heart of some of the beef with the Armory Foundation. The other thing is while they do have many good programs, the other beef is that the none of them seem to directly address mental health issues and the suicide rate and the suicide risk among especially Latino girls, teenage Latino girls, is very high, and you need intervention. And so, okay, so therefore, when that was addressed to them, again, at meetings with the Housing and Human Services, 2018, 2019, you got a shrug. So that is really the core, part of the core of the issue of that in GDS, the Armory, and other issues. Looking below the surface of labels.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Barbara. I'm glad you're healthy again. Thank you.
Not fully healthy, but I'm getting there. Thank
At
you.
least I heard you again and saw you again. Marielle?
Thank you, Eleazar. Yes, I just wanted to make just a brief comment and an observation. Just from my short time being on the board and obviously being a bit newer to the issue compared to many of you on here. And it's in regards to just the lack of response from DHS. I mean, we've tried many, many times. I've been copied on emails, asking DHS to come to the meetings. And then when DHS did decide to show up to the meeting, it was like last minute, and it was just to take notes. The other issue is that, there were a whole set of questions that the committee had put together years ago, had sent it to DHS, and they have yet to come back. We've sent those questions to Leilani at DHS several times over the past 6 months, asking for a response. And every time she comes back saying, oh, well, the questions are still being held up with legal, or no, we don't have a response yet. But the point is that it shouldn't take 6 months, or in the case of, however long this issue has been going, years, to come back with a set of questions. Thank you.
Okay, Marielle, thank you. And Debbie?
Thank you, Eleazar. I want to just address a few things that Barbara said and a few things about these resolutions. So I just want to remind people that what the city charter does say with respect to community boards and our roles relative to not-for-profits is simply this, and it's the only thing it says. Conduct substantial public outreach, including identifying the organizations active in the community district, maintaining a list of the names and mailing addresses of such community organizations, and making such names, and with the consent of the organization, mailing addresses available to the public upon request. To Barbara's point about this being a track for like suburban kids and programs, I have to strenuously disagree. This world today is one set up. If you have kids doing activities and particularly sports, it's all pay to play. If you don't have money, your kid doesn't play stuff. And this is a place where thousands of kids for like $50 get to do this. One of the most exciting things I ever did with my kid was a New York Roadrunners program on the weekends using that glorious track, one of the best track facilities in the nation. The program that Coach Dave is involved is related to with After School, which was open to all of the school district, our school district, every single school, again, low or no cost. That stuff doesn't exist. An opportunity to have after school programming. For winter track programs, again, we live in a city. We don't have a lot of places to do sports. All over the city, public middle schools, public high schools do their winter track cycling through that armory, the whole city. And if my kid hadn't had, winter track canceled last year, she would have gotten to run on that track. Again, one of the most exciting things. So I have to disagree. And while I agree with you wholeheartedly about the crisis of mental health in this city, along with the crisis of homeless services, I would suggest that question of doing better by mental health services needs to be pointed by this board to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And that while everything that's been said about the importance of mental health is very true, whether GDS is great at providing it or not, they do not get funding by Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. They do not get funding by DYCD. And that's sort of beside the point. And it's not what either of these, I think it's a really valid thing. And I'd love to see us take that on, but that's not what these resolutions do. So we can talk about apple pie, but that's not what's written here.
Thanks, Debbie. So we're
Uh,
gonna take
Kelly
Tanya's.
Ranger, I'd like to comment to that.
No,
for
no,
one minute.
no. Sorry, Barbara. I'm not gonna allow any rebuttals. I think that we've already been informed and we have our opinions. So Tanya, Angel, and wrap it up.
Yeah, I have to say in my several years being on the board, I still don't know why GDS was removed. I still don't have an answer. I would like to get an answer. And I think we should all question why we still don't have an answer. Like right now, people are talking about this issue. They're talking about it, oh, you know, they're talking around it, but do we really know? Can anyone here, any of my fellow board members, articulate why GDS was removed? Can anyone tell me? If you have that answer, I would love to hear it because I don't have it. And I think it's very critical if we're going to make decisions that we need to think about why we don't have these answers. And yet, you know, we think we can, you know, speak adversely against something and we don't even know. I think it is suspicious to me that we don't know. I just want to know. And I just think it needs to be, there's not enough transparency. And I think that's really necessary. And we are, even though regardless of what the charter says or whatever, we are supposed to be the voice of the community. And the community, people in our community are saying that this program has helped them and they need this program. And that's what we're supposed to be representing and not our own feelings about a person or anything. So I just want to remind us that that's what we're here for. And that's what we should be trying to articulate back that to the community that we're serving. So I you know, and as far as who uses these programs, I'm just looking for my time. Okay, who's using these programs? You can live here and still be privileged, just so we know. Like, even if we're saying, you know, people from the east side or whatever, there are people who live here who are privileged. And so they might be able to participate in these programs more than people who live in the community who are not as privileged. So, you know, it's deeper and has deeper layers, and I just want us to understand that. Thank you. I'm not going to take up all the time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Angel? And then we'll
Sure.
move on to the next resolution.
Okay. Just want to talk to the second of the three the second of the three resolutions. I mean, my biggest concern is on accountability. Right, this is a not-for-profit organization that is operating in a public space owned by taxpayer, you know, owned by us, the taxpayers of the city of New York. And you know, to the comment that was made before about who's actually utilizing the space. I live in the neighborhood and I live 4 blocks away from the Armory, and I just don't really ever see New York City high school students in there. When we got the contract that was signed, we managed to get a hold of the license that was given to the Armory Foundation back in like 2002, and supposedly there's never been an update to that document. It states that the primary purpose of the licensee, being the Armory Foundation, is to run a track and field program for New York City high school students. And again, as somebody who lives in the neighborhood and right around the Armory, that's just not who I'm seeing going in and out of that building. It's not. It's just it's not. So that's my biggest concern. And then to Marielle's point about DHS, yeah, I mean, they came to our meeting, had no answers. It's stuck in legal. Legal has to answer that question. You know, if we don't figure out a way to hold DHS and the Armory Foundation accountable through this, then I'm not sure what we're doing here. We clearly are articulating, there are many people here that are articulating their frustration with the way that building is being utilized. And I think it behooves us to do something, to take some kind of action via advocacy so that some level of accountability is put in place. And I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your comments. I think the documentation, I think that the process which is important, is transparent. I think we've heard voices and opinions from two sides, and I think this is a good chance for us to make our decisions here. So I'm going to move along to the next item, which is Faith, the Youth and Education Chair on the class size of New York City schools. Faye, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. This is the committee reports, right?
Yes, and the presentation of the resolution, if you could do both.
Yeah, resolution.
Well, the resolution, well, we have, the resolution that we have was presented by Class Saimara. She brought she came to our committee, and what we have in there was of, this time, basically the resolution is asking for support for the elected official to, the resolution is in support of the official reduction of class size in New York City starting in fall 2021. The essence of it here is like never before, we are facing an opportunity for this particular initiative to be implemented, given the funding opportunity that we are looking at. So according to the Lenny Hameson, who is the executive director for Class Saimara, and actually what she did was that she created this resolution and she distributed among several community boards, and I believe CEC, Community Education Council, throughout the boroughs, and many of them already adopted the resolution. We look at the draft, the committee discuss it, and basically, since we already are on board with this idea, supporting a small class size and different, in public school, I should say. So we reviewed this. We came up with amendments. And as you can see at the bottom of the resolution, or you will see it, I hope that everybody have read it already. What we are asking is Community Board 12 and the final result is to that our board acknowledge the needs for a small class size in New York City public school, and is urging the New York State governor and all legislature basically to pass the pending bills that that it's already, in the legislation. So as you know, Senator Robert Jackson has been one of the lead plaintiff in the campaign for fiscal equity that is being, fighting for this. And I believe that having this opportunity, in having the mayor facing we are facing the possibility that this 530 millions might be, definitely designating for that purpose and the fiscal year 21. So we asking the board to support this initiative. And I don't know if you have any question. Yes.
Thanks. Mariela, question?
Not a question, it's more of a comment. I just want to say that as an educator, I think that lowering class size is one of the most important things that can benefit all students. So right now there are all of these programs that the DOE has created, whether it's like trauma-informed pedagogy or more social workers in schools, and there are all of these.
Can't hear you.
There are all of these attempts to try to get students to have more personal attention. And really, there is no better way than just allowing teachers to focus on a smaller group of students. So even from kindergarten to first grade, the jump goes from 25 to 30, 32. Like that is so many students that one person has to be in charge of. And in high school, that limit goes up to 34 times 5 classes. I mean, I think the money is so much better spent in just reducing class size rather than just trying to add all of these extra services. I think teachers are wonderfully gifted, caring people who would be able to extend themselves the way that they want to if they just had fewer students to be responsible for.
Thank you. And I wanted just to add what you just said, that given the present, conditions, after this pandemic, we had so many, cases of mental health issues. And I think that it will be more than ever I think the present scenario that we are witnessing right now, it's really asking for that kind of assistance. So if we can actually get this implemented, starting having, you know, a reduction on all class sizes, I think that would be phenomenal. Because I don't think that we will ever may have the opportunity that we are having now after this pandemic. So if either now or it won't be never. So I really encourage my colleague to, you know, support this resolution.
Thank you for the question. I have Aisha and Jim Berlin. Is there anyone who has not spoken or asked any questions as of yet that would like to do it now? If not, I'm gonna go to Aisha. Aisha, go ahead.
So, first of all, being a parent from this district whose child was educated here and who is twice exceptional, and the issue that he had is hyperacusis, which means he hears extremely loud in one ear. He also has auditory processing issues. We had to apply, and I represented him in an impartial hearing so that he could be bussed out of our district because the volume of kids in a single classroom, and even in the smallest classroom, was too much for him. Class size is extremely important because of distractions. Give our kids the opportunity to learn.
And research how to prove that. So.
True.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great. Jim?
I was a teacher for 31 years, and basically it's class size, class size, class size. And not just for, you know, children who have difficulties, but for all children. The more teacher time they get and the time from other professionals in smaller settings, the more they're going to thrive. I mean, it's just obvious. And yes, it's expensive, but as someone pointed out, that will be money very well spent. Thank you.
Thank
you, Jim. Thank you, Faye. Thank you. Great resolution that it affects a lot of us. Thank you. Isidro, if you will, floor is yours.
Thank you, Eliezer. So for licensing, we had 11 licenses, 2 of which were withdrawn prior to the meeting. So you're not going to vote on agenda item number 10, no agenda item number 9 and 11. So you're not voting on 9 and 11 because they were withdrawn. Also, a quick note to note that on resolutions that you see before you, what you see right after agenda item number 10, that is rubbish. So please disregard the typos that you see right after resolution number 10. That's all rubbish, so pay no mind to that. I'm going to ask either Angel, Leo, or Gerard to fill in case there are some points that I might not have a full understanding because I had to lead the committee prior to the meeting. So if there are any questions, as you probably know, and you know, there were a lot of concerns about agenda item number 10. That agenda item was rejected. So let's just be clear that if you vote against resolution number 10, you're actually going to be voting in favor. Just a point of clarification, all right? So at this point, I don't have much to say about the license committee. Everything is on the minutes and resolutions. Many thanks to Mariela Ali for submitting the minutes, even on the rest. So thank you so much, Mariela. I really appreciate your assistance. Any questions?
You have Danielle, Liz, and then Steve. So we're gonna start the clock.
Danielle.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Isidro, I noticed that 3 of the resolutions are objecting to businesses that have no complaints and have been good businesses simply because they did not post a sign or the owner, I believe, wasn't present for the meeting. These are specifically number 2, 3, and 4. One is Republica, the second one is the Inwood Beer Garden, and the fourth one is this Hudson View Restaurant on 181st. So
Yeah,
I'm just wondering.
yeah, great point. And committee has been trying to be consistent in rejecting applications that either don't post up out of public notice, that don't come up to the meetings of the licensing committee, and or don't submit a questionnaire. If they fail to do all these three, it will mostly be rejected because we don't have a full understanding. Even if there is a positive report from the 34th precinct, we still have to hear from the residents to make sure that everything on that around that area is cohesive and free of noise. So the committee has been consistent in rejecting this application because of that, because of what you said, and it's just show you how we try to move along in being consistent.
I think for number three, I
yes.
personally noticed that number 3 has been closed throughout the entire pandemic. So I'm not sure if they even received notification that this meeting was going to be happening because they've literally been closed the entire time.
Yes, if the license is active, the board staff makes a huge effort to make sure that they do get these documents. And by the way, they are the ones that actually notify the community board that they intend to renew.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And before I entertain the next question,
sure.
Please note that agenda item number 8, they were supposed to bring a notice of a purchase of a sound limiter. They did not submit proof of a sound limiter. So at this point, I'm going to switch that resolution from a positive to a negative. So agenda item number 8 will be object to, because they felt as one of the prerequisites that they were going to bring a copy of the receipt of a sound limiter. Next question, please.
So we're going from no objection to objection.
Correct.
All right, that's number 8. Please make a note of that, guys, before we turn in our votes. Liz?
Thank you so much. A couple of things. One, I want to join Danielle. I totally understand, Isidro, that the committee has the policy of objecting to anybody who did not show up for the meeting. I personally think that if it's a renewal for a license, and particularly a renewal of a license where not only are there no objections or no 311 calls, no issues with the precinct, but the businesses are really beloved in the community and have good standing, I personally plan to vote against resolutions 2, 3, and 4 because I'd like to support those businesses, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. Eleazar gets the prize so far for cute children on screen. So Francisco, I expect you to show up with yours later. And finally, I urge and I beg all of my colleagues on the board to vote yes on resolution 10, which is a resolution in opposition to Buddha. I do not understand why these people get to waste our time again and again. And I express gratitude to the committee for putting up with this nonsense. I wish these people would go away and stop, hounding the committee. So, yeah.
And thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz, for your comments. And I understand that, there have been so many businesses that have been behaving really, really well. No complaints from the residents and all the precinct. But we also have to understand that perhaps sometimes if they don't post the notice, our residents will not have an opportunity to bring any comments or any, issue that is going on. That's why we need to be consistent. But I understand what you're saying, and I respect it. Next question.
That residents had to call 311. I think we've seen that at this point.
I have 2 more hands, Aisha and Maria.
So I believe per Liz's statement, the resolutions where they didn't appear, but they seemingly have no concerns or issues are 2, 3, and 4. I wanted that restated per what Danielle stated so I could know how to vote. But can we also have a clarification of which objections have been changed or not, where there wasn't an objection, but it was changed to an objection? So I understand how to vote. Can we have that restated just for the record?
So agenda item number 8, which was voted in favor by the committee, one of the stipulations was that they had to bring a copy of the sound limiter before general board meeting. Because they did not accomplish this, we usually tend to reverse the vote in a negative because that is a bad reflection. Just bring a copy of the receipt. It's nothing compared on how they're going to handle alcohol. It's very serious issue, and that's why we usually turn the resolution from a positive to a negative.
Okay, does that answer your question, Aisha?
Yes, thank you.
All right, good. Mariel, and then Steve.
Thank you, Eleazar. Just wanted to kind of echo what Joe said, but also I think just to comment or respond to Liz, you made a comment about some of the establishments going up for renewals and, you know, that they're great for the community, which is, you know, as you see, we certainly understand your point of view. But what I will say is we've also had members of the community also ask us that even if these establishments are going up for renewal, that they need to post their, you know, public notice. And if there's no proof of that, then it's not fair to the community. So I just wanted to state that for the record. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Mariela Graham.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of the community members who spoke during the public session. The recommendation is already to object. I think it's important as this community forum to just have a space for people to air their feelings and their experiences. I think it's valuable for the community board.
Yes, indeed. Steve Simon.
Yeah, Isidro, with resolutions number 3 and 4, it's not reflected in the minutes, but the resolution said, in both cases say that the establishments did not submit a questionnaire to the community board. So that goes beyond just whether or not they posted a notice. This is a questionnaire that we send to them that we expect them to return. Is that the case?
Yes, correct. That questionnaire needs to be sent back to the community board, fully answered, and all of this establishment failed to do so.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you.
Generally, you would think most.
Gerard?
I was going to make 2 comments. One, just to fully represent what happens on renewals. Often when a renewal comes up, the PD can speak about a renewal. Residents can be there to speak about a renewal. So, you know, this is not just some kind of blanket, hey, if it's a renewal and people don't show up, they get a no. There are some people that do actually come and speak about a renewal, and the renewal applicant may not be there. But the system works because those people that want to say something get to be heard. And I know we often talk about creating safe spaces and, you know, really encouraging people to say what they feel. But I want to make one comment. Often you hear from some residents and some even community board people speak about people's comments in a very negative and judgmental way. That's not a safe space. When you're fully committed to being tolerant and open to people's comments, people that make an effort to come here, that means being fully committed to letting them express their thoughts. And comments that make others feel less than, that demean others because if they have a specific opinion or because these people use this thing and some people don't use that thing, is kind of judging and making people feel less than. And that's not a safe space. We should be loving, tolerant, and in this community, we should welcome anybody who wants to come into our community to use our space. They are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard. Ozzy?
It's just
questions.
a reminder.
Let's just okay. Go ahead.
Just a reminder to all board members, and I hope the public is listening. Applicants can come in over and over and over again, and over again, and submit application as long as there is resubmit, I should say, applications, as long as there is a difference between the previous one legally by the SLA, they can do so over and over again. So don't get upset about that. Just want to make sure that everyone understands that's the SLA rules. This is not us. We don't make the rules. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great comments, Ozzy. Barbara Fraser, Tanya, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm Jim Berlin. I think he's just trying to Hands raised. Barbara? Barbara, can you unmute yourself? Barbara, yeah.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I missed the reason about the objection on Republica on Dyckman Street, number 2. And then also my question about the GDS to reinstate. We did a resolution in support of GDS in
Barbara.
2019. So why would we need another one?
Barbara, all due respect, I really want to focus on the liquor licenses resolutions. We can,
Okay, so
we can
number
discuss that
three-
later.
Okay, okay, sorry. So the Republica, it seems like a fine place. I missed why we're objecting to number 2.
So Barbara, thank you again for the question. There was actually representation from our Republica. Natasha Collado was there, she's the manager. And when the question was asked if a questionnaire was submitted, there was no questionnaire submitted. When the question was asked if they have posted the public notice, she voluntarily said no, that they did not post a sign.
Oh.
You know, we felt a little bit awkward in objecting to this application because it was awfully open and truthful of her to say that they didn't post the notice, but we have to be consistent and we have to respect it based on that conversation.
I agree. These are good people. I eat there. I know the owner and the husband and wife that own the place. They used to live on Sherman Avenue. They're good people. They'll just have to come back. I support your decision, Isidro. We must be consistent, but people should know this is a good place. This is not like this potential Buddha or something else. It's a real asset to Dyckman Street. But we do need to be consistent.
There were residents there to support this application as well. So we felt really, really bad that we had to reject this application. But the minute that you said that the public notice was not posted, we unfortunately had to vote against it.
Thank you, guys.
Part of what we have to do is educate people to the process, and sometimes saying no is part of educating people.
Thanks, Barbara. We're gonna have 2 more, actually 3, and then we're gonna move on. That'll be Tanya, Sally, and Jim.
Isidro, yes, I also just wanted to say, yes, I definitely think that proprietor is very upstanding myself, but I agree with you in terms of consistency in your policy. I think that's just the most fair way to go about it, even if we have personal attachments and feelings. So I agree with that. I want to ask though, is there something that we can do as, to ensure that the application, that people know what they need to present, so that we can avoid these, because it seems like there's a number of them that are making this mistake in doing this. Is there some process or some way that we can, help them to ensure that they, have what they need before they come before you all and present?
I think that we're sending a message that when you come before the board, that not only you come prepared, but I think it's also out of respect to our community that these notices ought to be posted. And the board, they do a great job in calling each merchant, in making sure that they post a notice, that they bring the questionnaire. But this is a problem that we have had for many, many, many years. And regardless of the education process that we might put in place, they still leave things for the very last minute. I feel sometimes really awful in rejecting some applications because I know that they're really good people, good operators that have brought many, many resources to our community. And it kills me sometimes just to reject some applications. But we have to be make sure that we keep our community informed and protected. And sooner or later, I hope that they get, the message that we are really serious about protecting our residents.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Tanya.
No, wait a second. No, Steve, that's the how the rules go. I want, I think you were first, but it was a question directed to the resolutions. Thank you.
No, I just have a question for Tanya. Tanya, is this the proprietor who's a member of the noise task?
Steve, again.
A question for
has to be
Tanya is
related.
out of order.
Exactly.
And I am next on the list, I believe.
All right. So then go ahead, Jim, and then Sally.
Thank you. I think, and you know, what Liz has said and what Ysidro has said, the key is that we're sort of the sheriff in town and we cannot be disrespected. And although some of these establishments may do a very good job, part of their doing a very good job is to respect the rules of the community that they work in. And that means posting things that we ask them to post and responding to our questionnaires. And, you know, if that is too much for them, then, you know, being really good, you know, business citizens is too much for them. Maybe they're not so perfect. So I think we should support our committee, and otherwise I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot, frankly.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Sally, and then that'll be the last comment.
Just to clarify, are we saying that we have never approved a liquor license for someone who has not posted the notice? Because my concern also is with Republica. They have been extremely good neighbors. They've co-hosted and allowed many community groups that are raising funds to do so without charge. And so that one in particular, I don't vote for liquor licenses, but that one in particular, I find surprising that we rejected. So I just want to clarify that the lack of posting notice is enough for us to reject always a liquor license.
Yes, that has been traditionally the case. The committee takes this issue very seriously. And to these businesses that are group operators, I do tell them, like, you know, you're not going to lose your license because of this. We're just sending you a message that you got to come to committee and make sure that public notices are placed and posted properly and in time. But places that have had not many issues and are going through the renewal process, they will get their licenses back. They will have to be very outrageous operators for them not to get their licenses back.
Okay.
Thank you, Isidro. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the great questions.
Eli, I had another comment. One more comment. Well, as a committee member, people talk too. So I think the licensing committee should not be held to any standard that any other committee is not held to. Jim Berlin said earlier that a board member doesn't have to explain why they vote on a certain thing. So ultimately, the license committee functions like every committee. At the end of a committee meeting, people vote. Same thing for license committee. I think we're going down rabbit holes for license committee that we're not doing in other ways. So in fairness to people that are on licensing committee, they can vote yes or no, and they don't have to explain it. And the board doesn't have to follow the committee. They can or they can't. Just a point of clarification.
Thank you, right.
Okay.
If I can clarify, what
I really want to follow the train of
Oh, I know, but
Go to
basically,
you. I just wanted-
Gerard misstated
Yeah.
what I said.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to say how you voted when you vote. That's not in order. That's what I said.
Okay, great. Liz and Era Santiago, who has not said anything, has the first shot at it. Ms. Era?
Thank you. Hold on, let me go on video. So I really hate to create too many burdens for small businesses. So for me, I think it would be helpful to understand what happens. Like if they're rejected, if there's this objection and we're saying, well, they just have to come in front of the committee again. Does this mean it delays the whole month? Do they not have a license for a month? I just want to understand what the consequences are for this, for objecting to the renewal.
So Ada, great question. So those that are doing the renewals, they don't have to come back next month. They will only need to come back if there's a new license, if it's a corporate change. Anything else other than renewal, they will have to come back. I'm sure that the certificate is already on its way in the post office, so they'll get a certificate within 3 or 4 weeks. So yes, in essence, it's only for renewals, and they don't have to come back to committee.
Are you clear, or you like to?
No, I guess my question was for the people that didn't meet the requirements, like the establishments that didn't do the posting of the notices or didn't attend the committee meetings, and therefore they're being objected to. What's the consequence to that then? So they get another bite at the apple, they come back next month, but what happens in this 1 month?
They can come back and get a positive resolution so that they can present that to SLA. if they don't come back, that negative resolution will be on record. And when they come back within 2 years, the resolution will say that it was objected to because reasons. And then when they come back, I will state the reasons as to why they were rejected, like 2 years in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
I don't know if that answered the question though.
but Liz,
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the other possibility as well, I also 100% understand and respect the committee's reasoning. We as board members are free to vote in favor of these negative resolutions or exercise our judgment as individuals and oppose these particular resolutions because we favor extending the granting the renewal. So I personally will vote against those three because I support those three businesses, even though I understand and respect the committee's process and the committee's very hard work. And I urge my colleagues to do the same.
okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Isidro, a lot of work. Thank you for making the process transparent and standardized. As long as we have standards that people have to abide by, we've come a long way in trying to make this process the way that it is now. It's not perfect, but it works.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you so much. Now we're gonna go to the committee reports. Liz, I think you're first. Liz, I think you're first on the committee reports.
Eli, do you want to do the roll call and then do the
Sorry.
committee non-resolution committee reports? Whatever you
Can
want.
I do my committee report since I may lose my internet connection? It's been coming and going, and while I have it, I'd love to be able to report.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So I encourage you to read all of the minutes. It was a very long and productive meeting. We covered a lot of ground. Huge shout out to Tanya for her work with the Community Noise Task Force. And really, we were able to have a robust and useful conversation with both precincts and parks enforcement around some of the many issues in and around parks. At our June is Art Stroll month, and we are going to be coming up on lots of just tremendous online programming through NOMA. You can go to their website, nomanyc.org. Lots of programming all month long in June, and the resumption of Thursday evening arts programming online that was wonderful all through the pandemic. It's been one of the upsides of the pandemic, the introduction of Zoom for arts programming right into your home. Our June agenda is going to include a conversation with the Lenape Center around parks renamings, a presentation from the Parks Department on the proposed design for the Dyckman Rest, a presentation from the Hispanic Society and their new executive director who started a couple of months ago. Speaking of the Hispanic Society, they are having their virtual benefit tomorrow, and you are invited to attend. If you need the link, I can send it to you. I don't have the ability to put it in the chat, but if you email me, I will forward it to you. The committee will be meeting in July because we will be hearing from the Parks Department on a presentation of their work on the boathouse with Row New York over at Sherman Creek. And there's so much going on in parks that we felt it was appropriate to meet in July. We'll also be hearing from the Morris Jamel Mansion on their strategic plan. I think that's it. Thank you to all of my committee members for just, tremendous participation, great questions, good community outreach in bringing agenda items to the committee. I could say more, but I don't have time, and you don't want to hear from me anymore anyway. So thank you very much. And I apologize for not having my video on, but I just don't have enough Wi-Fi. Besides, my hair's a mess.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks so much. Debbie?
wanted to
Thank you,
congratulate.
Cesar. I'm just going to refer everybody to the minutes. You'll note that there was a presentation about an entity called Dykeman Gardens, who have applied for a DOT plaza at Dykeman Street between Broadway and Seaman. So you can read about it there. This was sort of a preliminary presentation. So expect that this item will be back, if not in June. I think it's going to be back in June. So for a more formal, more formal presentation and potentially a resolution. So what is now the open restaurant, they're applied for just like the regular longstanding plaza program. That's it.
Thanks, Debbie. That was short and sweet and short and sweet. So much. Appreciate that. Francisco Lopez. Francisco Lopez going twice.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Good. Yes.
Okay. Happy Tuesday, guys. This month we focused on small businesses and helping them with any PPP information, the new restaurant fund that that the city was promoting, and also we had the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. Blair Duncan, who's the president, came to speak with us, and some of the small business owners that were a part of the chat. And that's pretty much it. Mr. Duncan spoke about 3 different loan programs that are available. And thank you, Nobles, for helping me out this week with the minutes, or this month with the minutes. And that's it. Refer to the minutes. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Francisco. Steve Simon.
The latest COVID-19 statistics for the district are pretty good, much better than where we were a month ago at the day of our last board meeting, when the positivity rates for the 4 zip codes ranged from 1.71 to 3.60%. As of Saturday, for the week ending Saturday, the positivity rates for the 4 zip codes were as low as 0.48% in zip code 33, 0.58% in zip code 40, 0.75% in zip code 34, and 1.19% in zip code 32. These are probably the lowest positivity rates that I've seen as I've been monitoring these numbers over the last several months. In any case, there have been, in that 1 week period, there were 40 new cases of COVID-19 among our neighbors, which is far lower. A month ago, in that week, we were at 100. We had 190 new cases. So during the period of the pandemic, we have now had in our district 18,226 cases, 341 new cases since a month ago, and there have been 657 deaths, 15 more than where we were a month ago. We have now had 99,091 people who have adults in our district who have received at least 1 dose of one of the vaccines, 15,000 more than a month ago, and 84,359 of our neighbors have been fully vaccinated, 24,000 more than just 1 month ago. So when New York Presbyterian closed down the vaccination site at the Armory, they are now giving out vaccines at the Children's Hospital on 165th and Broadway. And they're doing that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays, 3 to 7. You can get an appointment still by calling the hotline, 646-838-0319. The city is also doing vaccinations at Yeshiva University, at the Belfer Hall, 2495 Amsterdam, on Mondays through Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sundays, 9 to 7. Walk-ins are accepted there, and walk-ins are also accepted at the Fort Washington Collegiate Church on 181st and Fort Washington, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 5:30 p.m. to 9:40 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 5:40 p.m. So we, at this point, we have 3 places that are open to the general public for vaccinations. Just want to mention also that at my committee meeting, Betty gave a report about Isabella Geriatric Center now welcoming in-person visitors for the first time since March.
Steve? Time.
Okay, very good. The only other thing I want to mention is that the Corner Project also gave a report that it is now open for business in its new space at 500 West 180th Street. All right, that's my report.
Thanks. And there's another site where they're vaccinated in Audubon between 181st and 180th, open to everyone. It's from the city of New York, or New York City rather. So Ozzy, since it's already 2 a.m. down in Israel, would you want a roll call? Because I don't want to keep you up as long as you have to.
It's actually 4 a.m., but whatever.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. So you can a roll call so we can get this thing working.
Okay, so we have 4 negative resolutions. Resolution number 2, 3, 4, and 8. Resolution 9 and 11 withdrawn. You do not have to tell me how you vote on those. And please start with the no, yes, followed by abstention. Mariella Lee?
Actually, OC Resolution 10 is also negative.
Thank you.
What a resolution.
Okay, so we have
OC?
5 negative resolutions.
OC?
Okay, yeah,
Can I interject? Is it still possible to do a friendly amendment to one of the resolutions?
No,
No.
Okay, just asking. Just
you
asking.
just got an answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, okay. Mariella Lee,
Yes to all.
okay. Richard Allman,
Abstain on F and G, yes to the rest.
can you repeat that, please?
Abstain on F and on G, yes to the rest.
Abstain on F and G. Yes to the rest. Okay, Mary,
Abstain on G. No to 2, 3, and 4. And yes to the rest.
abstain on G. No to 2, 3, and 4. Yes to the rest.
Right.
Glennis,
Abstain on F and G and yes to the rest.
abstain on
Are you
F.
abstaining or are you not voting due to conflict?
Oh,
Obviously, due to conflict.
Right, she's not voting due to conflict.
on both of them?
Correct.
But yes.
Not voting due to conflict on F and G. And can you repeat the rest? And yes to the rest? Thank you. Wayne,
Abstaining on F and G, yes to the rest.
abstain on F and G. Yes to the rest. James,
Abstain on F and G, yes to the rest.
abstain on F and G. Yes to the rest.
Thank you.
Tanya? Tanya?
Yes, it's yes to all. Thank you.
Yes to all. Daryl?
I don't think Daryl's in.
Okay. Robin Cruz? Robin Cruz, I know you're there.
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Gerard?
Abstain F and G, yes to the rest.
Abstain on F and G. Yes to the rest. Catherine? Catherine Diaz?
Can you come back to me, please, also?
Sure. Remind me if I forget about you. Domingo? I don't think he's in. Gabriela? Gabriela?
I haven't seen her.
I'm sorry?
I haven't seen her. I don't think she's in.
She's out of the country.
Okay. Ashley? Ashley Fernandez?
Not in.
She's not in. Sarah?
No on 2 and 3. Abstain on 1, 6, and 7, and yes to the rest.
No on 2 and 3. Abstain on 1, 6, and 7, and yes to the rest.
Correct.
Okay. Hold on a second, please. Faye Florimon?
Yes. Abstaining 3, 4, F, G, and yes to the rest.
Abstain on 3, 4, F and G, and yes to the rest.
Correct. Thank you.
You're welcome. Barbara?
Abstain on F and G, yes to the rest.
Abstain on F and G, yes to the rest. Mariella Graham?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Oops, sorry. Hold on a second. Yes to all. Miriam James?
Abstain F and G, and yes to the rest.
Abstain on F and G, and yes to the rest. Okay, Danielle?
No to 2, 3, and 4. Yes to the rest.
No to 2, 3, and 4. Yes to the rest. Leo Jimenez?
Yes to all. Thank you, Osi.
Yes to all. I don't think Joseph is in. I vote yes to all. Elizabeth Lemon?
Abstain on
Betty?
F and G, yes to the rest.
Abstain on F and G, yes to the rest. Francisco Lopez?
Yes. Can you come back to me? Come back to me, please.
Okay. Liz?
I abstain on F and G. I vote no on 2, 3, and 4, and yes to the rest.
Okay, you abstain on F and G, and you vote no on 2, 3, and 4, and yes to the rest.
Correct, and thank you. Shalom.
Okay, thanks. Maria?
Luna?
Maria Luna?
Okay, my vote is this. No to letter E. 1, 5, 6, 7. I am not voting on F and G, conflict of interest. I'm on the board of the Armory. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, can you please repeat that? You have no on E,
No on E.
right?
1, 5, 6, 7. And then F and G, I abstain, conflict of interest.
That's a no vote.
It's a
She's
no
not
vote.
voting and
Guess
not
what?
abstaining.
Not voting due to conflict.
I
Correct.
got that. Okay. Cindy Matos is not in. J.
No to F and G, yes to the rest.
No to F and G, yes to the rest.
You vote no on E.
Isidro?
And they're saying no.
Can vote on agenda item number 5 because of conflict.
Yep.
I recently had an event there. So can vote on number 5, yes to the rest.
Not voting on 5 due to conflict, yes to the rest. Ariel?
May I interrupt? This is Maria Luna. I made a very small mistake.
Okay.
I had to change my vote on the letter E. I abstain.
Okay.
I'm voting yes.
Okay, you're voting yes on E.
Right, sorry.
Okay, not a problem.
It was
Okay,
too close to F and G.
okay. Ariel?
Yes, I will have to not vote on A, D, and H due to conflict.
What's the conflict?
I work for the Office of the Mayor.
Okay, you're not voting on A. Can you repeat that, please? You're not voting for
Sure.
A.
So I'm not voting on A, D, and H. And
Okay.
everything else, I'll vote yes to.
Okay, so you're not voting on A, D, and H due to conflict, and yes to the rest.
Yes.
Okay. Debbie? Debbie Nabavian? I'll come back to
Sorry,
her.
OC. Sorry,
Sorry.
everybody. I'm voting no on F and G, yes to the rest.
No on F, no on G, and yes to the rest. Jonathan, are you here? Okay, you're not. Aisha?
Yes to all, especially F and G.
Yes to all. Rosie?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Paradise, I don't think he's in. Bruce?
Abstain, F and G, no, 2, 3, 4, yes to the rest. Thank you, OC.
You're welcome. Abstain on F and G, no for 2, 3, and 4, and yes to the rest. Edda?
Abstain from G, yes to the rest.
Abstain on G and yes to the rest. Steve?
Voting no on F and G, not voting on number 5, since that's a Parks Department concessionaire and I work for the Parks Department, voting yes on all others.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
doesn't Steve have a conflict due to the same reason with F and G, as they are, the Parks Department is named in the license of the Fort Washington Armory.
Alrighty, can you keep going? Just keep going.
That does not appear to be a
Jim,
conflict of
Jim, let's
interest.
just keep going.
Okay, so it's Steve, you're voting no on F and G, and you're not voting on 5 due to conflict. Angel?
Yes.
Angel? Yes to all. Okay. Okay, Christopher is not, Chris is not, Curtis is not. I'm going back to Catherine.
Thanks, Elsie. Yes to all.
Yes to all. And Eli?
No, you have to go back to Francisco Lopez, but I'm yes to all.
Okay, hold on a second. I think I did Francisco Lopez. I'm sorry, you're right. Thank you. Francisco?
Okay, 2, 3, 4, and 8, no.
Okay.
Yes to the
Hold
rest.
on. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, you vote no on 2, 3, 4. Can you repeat the rest, please?
And 8.
And 8. And yes to the rest.
8 was the one that was overturned just earlier, yes?
Correct.
Okay, good.
So you vote no on 2, 3, 4, and 8, and yes to the rest.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So we all set?
We are, I think so. Are you here? And I did not call your name.
This is the time.
The captain.
Okay, we're good?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Excellent. Ozzy,
Okay.
what you've done is commendable. You show what it is that is meant to be a true board member. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to dessert. And that's Gail Brewers, who's going to be here tonight. Who is here tonight? Gail, the floor is yours. Gail, you want to unmute yourself? Is she listening at all?
I can hear you. I'm sorry. Sorry. Hello, Board 11. There's just a few things. One of them is to thank you for your Dykeman Open Streets. It's phenomenal. People should learn from it. The second is just in terms of small business. You know, we've all been talking, and I know that Councilmember Rodriguez has been talking about the small business bills that could be coming before the. We did push one that is introduced by Councilmember Helen Rosenthal and me, and I think there'll be a hearing either in July or in September. All it does, it says simple, and I can put the information in the chat, we can send it out. If you gotta have a lease, it's gotta be transparent, it's gotta be translated, it's gotta be boilerplate. You can't have all these extra phrases that when you sign it, you don't know what you're signing. And down the line, say you're current or you got an entrepreneur, thank goodness, to go into a vacancy, then we would say, okay, so you're there for X number of years. You cannot just not talk to the person. You have to talk with them. You got to meet with the owner and the commercial tenant. And if you can't work something else, you have a certain time period when the commercial tenant can stay and then they have to leave. So it's not as onerous, perhaps you could say, as the Small Business Jobs Act, and it needs work, but at least it's the beginning. Because I know people are going to get in these after the pandemic. This all seems terrible now. There's a lot of vacancies. People get in them and they get hurt. So I'm just letting you know that's number one. We still don't have the senior centers open. You should be proud. One of your seniors in your neighborhood in Board 12 said, I am filing a lawsuit against the mayor to open the senior centers. And it's from your area. And I'm so proud of him. So I don't know where it's going to go, but these seniors have had it. They've just plain had it. And I just love that it's from your Board 12 that somebody filed a lawsuit. And he called me, he read me the whole damn lawsuit. I was on the phone for 45 minutes. He read the whole thing to me. And it was really, it's just fabulous. So I've done everything I can do. I don't know what else to do. So that might work. We are pleased and thank you, Mr. Chair, for participating in the discussion about the rezoning and how keeping on top of it. So we are planning. Everybody's welcome. We'll get you the details June 7th to have a walking tour to go through the different aspects of the rezoning. You know, this is what's going on here. This is what's going on there. Everybody's welcome to join us. And if you join us, I take everybody out for lunch. So you know, and you're all welcome. We're figuring out the details as we speak. As I said before, you can't show up for lunch unless you've been on the walking tour. That's definite. So much money coming into the city, and I worry about it. So we've got money for education. Thank goodness for this, the businesses. We've got money for broadband. We've got money for obviously trying to figure out how to deal with the deficit, etc. So I'm just saying to every community board, watch that money. The money going to the Department of Education is phenomenal. It is billions of dollars. And I hope it goes to schools, and I hope it doesn't get stuck at 52 chambers. But I'm just saying in your case, you should pay attention to where it is or is not going. In terms of the ATVs and the dirt bikes, I don't know this is everybody's. I have so many complaints. Guess where they're all coming from? Board 12. Oh my goodness. So we wrote a letter. I think you got a copy of it. Tanya had a big meeting on it a while ago in terms of noise and so on. People brought it up. The police did have, I think Chief Harrison had a press conference a few days later. I don't want anybody arrested, but you know, the complaints are huge. You got to figure out how to deal with that group of individuals as long as nobody gets hurt. And of course, a gentleman did get hurt in a sense in Board 12 over some kind of discussion about about some of the bikers and him. In terms of the I think the Armory is slowing down or closing, but they are going to be working with the Harlem Children's Zone, is my understanding, in terms of doing it Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. When we were on a Zoom 3:00 Tuesday, as we do every Tuesday, and you're all welcome to join us, we alternate between vaccine discussion and opening New York City, and particularly Manhattan. So today was vaccines, and one of the topics, excellent doctors, one from the city and one from Lenox Hill. And it looks like one of the questions was, okay, so I get this vaccine, but there's likely to be a booster in January. So do I get the same? Do I have to have a different company, the same company, et cetera? All those kinds of questions. Then all the questions about kids in September. Are they going to all be vaccinated? And it was mostly sounded like they don't know yet whether you have to have the same company give you the same vaccination, same company when you have a booster in January. And it's not clear that there'll be vaccinations available for all kids until the end of the year. In terms of not in September was the general feeling. There was all this discussion from the city about why people don't want to get vaccinated. I think I know some of the reasons. I'm big, this is not really nice things to say, but I'm very big on incentives. When I went to Grand Central and I went to Penn Station, oh my goodness, 7-day Metro card, big deal. The lines were all the way around the block. So, I understand some people don't want to do it for other reasons. Some people really do want to get something for it. That's just how it is. And the trends that people spoke, trains are now 24/7. They say they're cleaning them in the same way. We'll have to see if that's absolutely correct. I mean, there's even broadband money, although I'm hearing, it's so complicated. Some people go to renew their subscription and they're told something about a less expensive rate, but at some point it won't be a less expensive rate. And I also know there's money coming from the federal government to the state and then down to the city. And I also know that there was an RFP out by the city for NYCHA, and there have been 3 local companies that have been selected, including Silicon Harlem. And I don't know whether Dyckman is included in that or not. That would be something to find out. So those are some of the issues. We are definitely getting the appointments done. So by the time you have your next meeting, hopefully by next week, we'll have all the appointments and reappointments done. Thank you very much, Board 12. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you don't ever interrupt. I think that we are very not at all. Not at all. You have 2 quick questions, or
go ahead. Yep,
I don't know what they are. Yeah, I think Faye was first and Francisco.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Board President. Board President, I want to personally thank you for 2 very, very interesting reports that you sent, which is a hard copy. One of them was the Saving Manhattan Small Business, a roadmap for recovery. And the second one, the report for sustainability for affording housing development. This is something that I found it so interesting. And one of the questions that I actually asked myself, if you ever had the occurrence to produce this kind of documents, in Spanish, because this is something that a lot of people owe to keep informed. This is such a valuable information that I really, thought, why this is, I'm wondering if she had the occurrence to have this in Spanish.
I will try to do that. And I really appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Those 2 reports in particular would be appropriate. Thank you.
And very last, if you think it's possible that you can send me probably at least like maybe 30 of these reports so I can.
Absolutely.
I can share with the tenants in my building.
Yes, I'd be glad to do that. And we will look at translation. Thank you for suggesting that. It's not hard to do.
Okay.
Francisco, thank you, Faye.
Yes, actually, I don't know if this is the proper time, but I wanted to change a vote with OC. Do I do that now or wait?
Yeah, you can do that now.
OC, can you please change? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. F and G, can you put abstain for me, please? Thank you.
Hold on a second, please. Francisco. Sorry, I'm working with a really small laptop here. Okay. You want to change, which one do you want to change?
F and G.
What do you want to change it to?
Abstain, please.
Abstain.
Okay. Guys, thank you.
Thank you very
OC.
much.
Again, Gail, don't leave us yet.
I won't leave you yet. Thank you.
Thank you guys for all the work you've done, Ozzy. I can't thank you enough. This is a lot of work putting this meeting together. The individual, the collective is what works. It's not about us, it's about all of us. So thank you, and I'd like to put a put it on the table, an adjournment for tonight's meeting.
Do we have a vote tally? By any chance?
As usual, you would always get it afterwards. I don't think that it would be fair for Ozzy to do that at 4 a.m. I don't think
4:30.
4:30. It's really
Fair
not.
point.
So can I get an adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Second from Liz Ritter.
Thank you. Have a great night, y'all.
Buonanotte a tutti.
Good night. Thank you all.
Night all.
Bye.